Lavine gets around Brucino and throws it.
Wow. Zach Lavine, the explosive athleticism.
Of course, I think we all saw that incredible poster of a dunk from Zach Lavine in an exhibition game against Argentina prior to the Olympics, given the fact that it's been shared and displayed all over social media. And as great as that dunk was, and a lot of Bulls fans are talking about, what they're not talking about as much, in my opinion, is how important this experience of Lavine being in the US Olympic team will be, not only for his own personal development, but also for the Chicago Bulls as a whole going into next season. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, when it was first announced that Lavine was going to be joining the US Olympic team a few weeks ago, I was ecstatic at the fact that this would give the Bulls some additional exposure going into the offseason and having our best player and an all-star competing on a global level in the Olympics. And I talked about this very briefly in one of the hot takes videos from a couple weeks ago and how beneficial this will be for Zach Lavine himself and the Bulls as a whole. Then, of course, it was later announced that Patrick Williams would also be included in the USA Select team, which is an incredible experience for someone of his age who is still developing and being around the best of the best in their craft and soaking up all of the knowledge and skills that these other stars possess, given the fact that the select team does scrimmage and practice with the actual Team USA. Now, if you caught my interview with Casey Johnson that I uploaded earlier this week, we talked specifically about the impact of playing in the Olympics and what that has on players. And Casey actually mentioned how an experience like this isn't anything to sneer at. You're talking about being on a global stage, seeing the best players perform and playing on the same team as said players. You learn and gain so much from that, which carries over to your team when going into the next season. And to me, the benefits are really twofold. One, which I just mentioned, it gives Lavine himself more exposure to where he can showcase his skills and talent on a global scale, not just to the fans who may not actually recognize the skill that he has, but also to the league, the players, the coaches to take note of this. And this really leads to the second benefit of Lavine being on the Olympic team. By players taking note of this, it will hopefully make Chicago a more attractive free agency destination, knowing that Lavine is on this team. And you're already seeing that with quotes from Bradley Beal and Draymond Green talking about Zach Lavine is one of the more underrated guards in the league and how he is quote unquote a pure talent. Now, the men's team has struggled a bit in the early going, albeit just a few exhibition games for now, and they're not currently playing for anything that actually is real when it comes to the Olympics and actually going for a medal. But the U.S. team lost their first two games in a massive upset against Nigeria, and then also losing to Australia. And Lavine struggled a bit in those first two games, specifically the game against Argentina. But with Jason Tatum being out due to an injury, Lavine was now inserted into the starting lineup for the game against Argentina. And the players remarked how his energy really sparked the US's team blowout win. Lavine ended up finishing the game with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, with a plus-minus of plus 26 for the game to go along with shooting 5 for 8 from the field. And you would hope that that kind of performance and that progress will continue for Lavine with each passing game. Team USA will be taking on Australia again tomorrow, as well as a doubleheader on Saturday against Nigeria and Spain before they take off to Tokyo to face in the actual Olympic Games. Now, I think back to the experience that Jimmy Butler had in the 2016 Olympics and how his time playing on the team really shaped him as a player and developing those strong bonds and ties with some of the top players in the league. And that really propelled Butler into stardom. He was already an all-star by the time that he actually went to the Olympics in 2016, but Butler started becoming more recognized after those Olympic Games as one of the top players in the league. Granted, the Bulls traded him just one season after being in the Olympics in Brazil, but Butler is still regarded as one of the best players in the league, securing yet another All-NBA selection this season and leading the Heat to the finals just last year in the bubble. Now, the other thing I like about Lavine being on the US Olympic team is not only does it enable to stand out to other players and teams throughout the league, but this also enables him to build those strong bonds and friendships and also recruit guys to come play for the Bulls. Obviously, the opposite end of the spectrum can happen in guys trying to recruit Lavine away from Chicago, but let's not go there for the purposes of this video. But you've got guys like Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, among others who I would absolutely love to see in a Bulls uniform that are on this Team USA. Although most of those are probably incredibly unrealistic, at least for next season anyway, whether the players are being under contract right now or they're just commanding too much money that the Bulls would otherwise be able to afford. But the point is, Lavine showing up, balling out in the Olympics, showing these guys, the team who are some of the best players in the league, that he can compete with the best of them and that he means business in wanting to win and winning now, and showcasing that to guys on the roster, but as well as the league as a whole, will go a long way for the Bulls and their chances this offseason when bringing in other pieces on this roster. Now, as far as Patrick Williams, since I haven't really touched on him much in this video, this could be a better opportunity for someone like him, who was drafted in the middle of a pandemic, had limited training time from the point that he was drafted all the way to his first regular season game. Now, in this offseason, with less COVID restrictions, he has the ability to train for a full offseason, play in the Summer League in August for the Bulls, and of course be a member of the USA Select Team to continue playing competitive basketball, staying in shape, playing alongside other young up-and-coming prospects who are also on the Select Team, as well as practicing and scrimmaging with Team USA. You cannot ask for a better experience in helping his development as a player, his confidence with the support of other fellow players in the league, and of course, more exposure on the national and global scene to showcase his skills just like Zach Lavine. I think we can all agree that we would love to see from Patrick Williams, most going into the next season, is really just being more assertive and creating his own plays on offense, being more physical and aggressive on offense, and not afraid to take open shots, even if it means missing them, and also continuing to improve upon his already solid defensive skills that we got to see in his rookie season. Putting him on the USA Select Team, putting him on the Summer League team, a full offseason and training camp enables him to focus and hone in on those areas of his game that were lacking this past season, and have that desire to show the Bulls he was the right choice for that number 4 selection in last year's draft. Now guys, I will be covering the actual games from the Olympics once they start on the 24th of this month, and have post-game videos for each game, really with a focus and emphasis on Lavine's performance in said game, so be on the lookout for those if you're interested during the Olympics. As Bulls fans, obviously we hope that Lavine really shines in these Olympic games and brings home the gold for the US, and I will be following it every step of the way. I would love to hear what you guys think though, and your thoughts on the importance and impact of these Olympic Games and how they will have on Lavine and Patrick Williams, and your thoughts on the initial exhibition games that have been played thus far. As always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.